now rocking with the best. Debates get hot, boy, I am so many fresh. I talk cash money like I'm Birdman. Tackle topic straight on, no swerving. All facts is what I'm serving. No one's better or more deserving than me. I bring that heat like Miami on a whole nother level like I'm Otani. I prove points by helping you visualize, using data that's analyzed by eagle eyes. Get your mind right and act like you know. You are now tuned into the Real Untouchable podcast.
Hey, what to do, sports world, and welcome to the Real Untouchable podcast, man, with me, Ray Diggs. I got a great segment for you all. Hey, I want to talk about the college football playoff rankings. Okay, I know what the title say. It say the top 15 rankings, but I'm going to go all the way down, and it's a few teams that I just want to say why I feel they should not be at the rankings that they are, but they always get it wrong with this. All right. But before I get started, man, y'all, it's so good to be back. All right. It's so good to be back. I've been really, really busy lately, but I'm back now. But at the end of the day, I just want to say, hey, man, thank you all for supporting. Thank you all for tuning in. I know a lot of y'all is at work right now, but hey, it is what it is. You can always watch it when you get off. But listen, let's talk about it, y'all. The college football playoff rankings. Okay. It came out this week. Oh, yeah. Make sure y'all hit the like button, the subscribe button, and also the share button, and give me your feedback on what you all think about this segment. But let's go ahead and jump into this thing, y'all. So the top 25 college football rankings came out this past Tuesday, and it's a few teams on there I feel like should be a little bit rated a little bit higher, okay? You got some teams that strength of schedule is 102, but they're ranked in the top 10. You got some teams up there that have the number one strength of schedule, and they're ranked number 3, 4, 5. You know, that's the crazy thing that I don't understand about college football now. I feel like a lot of these big teams, if I was you, because they'd have went to a 12-team playoff, if I'm in the SEC, all of my outer conference games would be cupcake games. There's no way that I would go and I would play at Wisconsin. There ain't no way I would go and I would play at Ohio State. You want to know why? Because Ohio State don't do that. Ohio State, all their games are cupcake games, okay? Michigan, cupcake games. Penn State, cupcake games, okay? They might have one or two games. But when you look at the SEC, it's just different, okay? With Texas and Oklahoma moving in there, it's just different. But I'm going to talk a little bit about, first, I'm going to go from 25 to 20. All right, we got Army at 25, Missouri at 24, 23, we got Clemson, 22, Louisville, 21, we got Washington State, and 20, we got Colorado. Okay. Now, Louisville has got 3 losses, but they're in the ACC. Colorado at 20. I don't have a problem with them being at 20, okay? Well, I'm going to explain why I feel that Missouri should be ranked higher than Colorado. Because let's look at Missouri. First of all, Missouri play a way harder schedule than Colorado. That's the first thing. Colorado's only 2 losses came against Texas A&M, which is in the top 15, and Alabama, which is in the top 15. Okay, so they got 2 losses. Both of those losses came against top 15 teams. Okay, I can't knock them for that. And they play horrible in both of those games. So they're at number 20. They're at number 24. While Colorado at number 20, right? Now let's look at Colorado's losses. Colorado losses is basically against Nebraska, which ain't looking like a good loss now because Nebraska's fell on their face now since they've been playing in the Big Ten. And they was dominated in that game. And Kansas State. And Kansas State, they're ranked right one ahead of them, which at number 19. So those 2 losses right there ain't looking all that now. Let's compare their 2 losses to Missouri's 2 losses. You got Nebraska and Kansas State, or Alabama and Texas A&M. Make that make sense to me, committee. Make that make sense to me, okay? And I get it, Missouri hadn't been playing good, but at the end of the day, Colorado hadn't played nobody. So hell yeah, they're going to look good. Of course they're going to look amazing. They're playing in one of the most watered down conference in all of college football, which is the Big 12 now. the new Big 12. Okay, so when you give these rankings, right, I don't have a problem with them at number 20, but are they really number 20? Are they the really number 20th team in the nation? Even when we look at Louisville, we can look at Louisville right here at number 23. Okay, Louisville, their losses came to they beat a very good Clemson team at Clemson. They lost against Miami. They lost against SMU, which is a very, very good team. And they lost against Notre Dame, which is another top-ranked team, which is another ranked team. Okay. So, look at their three losses. Clemson, which is number 23 in the rankings. SMU, which is number 13 in the rankings. And Notre Dame, which is number 10 in the rankings. So I would take those three losses to top teams over you losing to Nebraska and Kansas State. So that's my thing with those teams right there. Now let's move on to number 19 through 15. All right, well, we're gonna go all the way down. Okay, Kansas State at number 19. I don't have a problem with that. They're 7-2. They got 2 losses. And they got 2 good losses. It ain't like they got bad losses. Pittsburgh at 18. They ain't got no problem with that. They just lost their first game. They're at 7-1. And they're and they have a tough schedule ahead of them. Iowa State at number 17. Now, Iowa State at number 17, I think that's a good rankings for them. And that just makes more sense for me. Iowa State's only loss came against Texas Tech, which, Texas Tech beat them. They only got 1 loss. They're number 17. Colorado with 2 losses, one against Nebraska, but they're at number 20. So that just tells you how biased the college football playoff committee is this season. Okay, that just tells you what they value. They really value what they value. Okay, and it's gonna start making more sense as I get down towards the top of the ranking. Okay, so I don't have a problem with Iowa State at number 17. Ole Miss at 16. Ole Miss has lost 2 games, but they are coming off a big win, a dominant win over Arkansas. But Ole Miss will get a chance to prove themselves this week against Georgia. Now, if they can win that game right there, it pretty much tells us everything we need to know about this Ole Miss team. Okay, but I don't have a problem with them at number 16. At 15, LSU, same thing. I think LSU, Alabama, the game this week, I'm going to cover it a little bit more in my next episode. I think that game right there is going to be eliminated. Whichever team wins, I think they're going to most likely, unless they trip somewhere later on in the season, they will most likely get in the college football playoff. Whichever team loses is pretty much eliminated because that'll be their 3rd loss. But I won't go into that. Right there. I'll just say whichever one of those teams loses will not make the college football playoff. Okay? So we got Texas A&M at number 14. They're 7-2. They got 1 loss in conference, in SEC conference. Now, Texas A&M control their own destiny. Okay, I think they control their own destiny right now. But Texas A&M also got a pretty, steep schedule, to finish to the finish line. But right now, Texas A&M pretty much control their own destiny, even though they kind of put themselves a little bit in a hole by going to South Carolina, losing to a South Carolina team that was unranked, but it was on the road. But right now, that they're a really good team, and 14 is good for them. SMU is a hell of a team, y'all. They stomped Pittsburgh out this past weekend, and I think that right there was a quality win, a very good win. All right, so I don't have a problem with them at number 13. Same thing with number 12, Boise State. Alshon Gentry has been dominating the running back position. And Boise State is a very dangerous team. Okay, they are a very dangerous team. So for people that's not taking Boise State serious, you might want to. This team is a very good team. At number 11, we got Alabama. Same thing I'm going to say about Alabama. Same thing I said about LSU, I'm going to say it about Alabama. I think that these 2 teams will pretty much phase. I think these 2 teams right here will pretty much phase each other out. Yeah. I think those 2 teams right there will pretty much phase each other out. Okay, the winner of this game will most likely make the college football playoff. The loser of this game, I think they're just playing for a good bowl game. That's just my opinion when it comes down to Alabama LSU. But I don't have a problem with Alabama at number 11. I think Alabama goes into, if they're valid this weekend, I think they help themselves tremendously if they can win that game. But I don't have a problem with them at number 9. At number 11. I don't have a problem with Notre Dame at number 10. Notre Dame coming off a huge win against an undefeated Navy team. Navy was looking like they was pretty much dominating everybody, but Notre Dame came in there and pretty much put a stomping on them. So I don't have a problem with them at number 10. Same thing with BYU at number 9. They're a Big 12 team. They're undefeated. Okay, that fits them. Top 10 fits them. Okay. Indiana at number 8. Don't have a problem with it. They're 9-0. Big 12. Big 10 school. They got a steep schedule ahead of them as well. They got a couple quality teams coming up. Actually, let's look at their schedule right now. Let's see. They got Michigan this week. I think they beat them. Then they play Ohio State. Okay. Now, let's just say they go down to Ohio State and they beat Ohio State. Let's just say they end up happening. Hell, I hope it happens. Their last game is against Purdue. This team right here, who, if they can win this week, honestly, I think Indiana gets into the college football playoff. Okay. I think they get it. And just looking at the Big Ten standings, right now, them and Oregon are pretty much separated. Now them and Ohio State is gonna phase. Well, I won't say phase each other out, but it'll pretty much put the other one as a number 2 seed. Well, as a 2 seed in their conference. But when I look at Penn State messed themselves over by losing to Ohio State this past weekend. But Ohio State, they still got to play Northwestern, which is an easy school. In Michigan, that's an easy school as well. So basically, them in Indiana is going to pretty much say, what's going to happen. And then when I look at Oregon, I'll get down to them in a minute, but yeah, they got probably the easiest schedule out of everybody. So they're going to finish undefeated. And then I look at Penn State. I think Penn State still have one more hard game to go. Nope, Penn State don't have any more hard games as well. So that just tells you right here, man, like the Big Ten is really not what we thought it would be. They're basically just got 4 teams over there. When you look at it, they just basically got 4 teams over there. So Indiana is in the driver's seat right now to make the college football playoffs. Honestly, I think that the Big Ten will get at least 3 schools, maybe even 4 schools in, just like the SEC. So I think that Indiana will make the college football playoff. And if they win this week, they definitely going to make it. It's going to be pretty much shoe in. So I think that this week, and because Tennessee still plays Georgia, and so I think that they'll be in that number 12 ranking if they just loses one game at Ohio State. I don't think the committee will hold that one loss against 11-1 Big Ten school. I don't think they'll hold that against them. And honestly, they'll probably still end up somehow. Well, we'll have to see how this goes in the Big Ten because Oregon beats Ohio State. Ohio State beats Indiana. So the Big Ten championship would probably be between Oregon and Ohio State. So I think that Indiana would have win this week. They would have most likely, get themselves in the college football playoffs with this win right here. All right. So let's go down to number 7, Tennessee. I don't have a problem with Tennessee, even though I think Alabama, I said it once, I said again, Alabama messed themselves over by losing to Tennessee because Tennessee, they had that game wrapped up. They lost it because they did not know how to capitalize on the offensive end. And that's something that I'm worried about this week as well with this Alabama's offense. Has been pretty much, they beat a very, average Missouri team 34-0. The game should have been 44-0. All right, so, it's just something wrong with this offense. All right, but this Tennessee team, this Tennessee offense, and that's why I think Tennessee is going into danger. It's going to be a dangerous game for them. I think it's this week. No, it's next week. All right, when they play against, they got 2 dangerous teams on their schedule. All right, they got Georgia, which is next week, and then they have they're going to have a tough game at the end of the season against Vanderbilt. And I'm calling that game right now. I think Vanderbilt beats them. I think Vanderbilt beats Tennessee. I think they'll keep Tennessee defense on the field like they did Alabama's defense, and I think they'll wear them down through 4 quarters. But I don't have a problem with Tennessee right there. We got Penn State at number 6. I think Penn State is probably one of the worst 6 teams that I've seen. I don't think they're a top 6 team in the nation. That's just my opinion. When you look at Penn State's schedule, I don't think they've played anybody this season. Yeah, they lost only scoring 13 points against Ohio State. That tells me everything that I need to know. Why Oregon showed you all that Ohio State's defense is not that good. Being first and goal at like your 5-yard line and you couldn't get the ball in the end zone to tie the score tells you a lot about their offense. Yeah, they beat Illinois, but that game right there pretty much telling you that Illinois pretty much fell off as well. So that's not really a quality win anymore. They beat UCLA 27-11. They beat a very overrated USC team 33-30 in overtime. Should have lost that game. So that's what I'm saying, man. Like the Big Ten is so weird this year. Okay, you got all these teams like Penn State don't play against Oregon. Okay, I don't understand it. That's the problem that I got with the Big Ten. Okay, the Big Ten is a weird conference this year. But in the end, they're number 6. Okay, do I think they're a top 16? I don't think they're a top 16. I think they're a top 15 team, but I don't even think they're a top 10 team. Because honestly, I think Indiana's better than them. I think Tennessee's better than them. Okay, BYU can probably push them to the limit. Hell, Notre Dame will probably push them to the limit. Hell, I might think Alabama could probably, SMU, Texas A&M, LSU, any of those teams can push them to the limit, I think, and beat them. That's why I don't think they're a top 10 team. Okay, then we got number 5. The top 5 schools is Texas at 5, Miami at 4, Georgia at 3, Ohio State at 2, Oregon at 1. Okay, I don't have a problem with none of those top 5 teams besides 1. I think that they would have flip-flopped Georgia and Ohio State, maybe even Miami and Ohio State. I think this right here is the perfect top 5 teams in the nation. That's just my opinion. And I'm going to tell y'all why. All right. Oregon is clearly the best team in college football, but Georgia is right there behind it. Georgia is clearly the second best team in all of college football. I don't matter how much you try to slice it. I don't care how much they struggle. One thing I've learned about Georgia, and if you ain't learned this right here about Georgia over the years, Georgia gets up for a big game. They just don't get up for Alabama. Okay, I don't know what it is between them and Alabama, but they don't get up for Alabama. Well, they haven't got up for them recently. I think the next game they play against Alabama, I think it might be a little bit different. But this team right here plays down to their competition. Okay, that's why I think Ohio State is not the number 2 team in the nation. I think Georgia is. I think Oregon is the number 1 team. Georgia is the number 2 team. I think that Miami is the number 3 team. Ohio State is number 4. And then I got Texas at number 5. That's how the rankings should have went. Now, the committee said that the reason why they had Ohio State at number 2 is because Ohio State's loss at Oregon was better than better than Georgia's loss at Alabama. Okay. Now, they said that Georgia's going down to Texas wasn't better than Penn State, than Ohio State going down to Penn State. Now, let's talk about these 2 teams. First of all, I think Texas is clearly a way better team than Penn State. I'm talking about on the defensive side and the offensive side. And I'm going to even go to say head coach as well. I think James Franklin is a hell of a coach, but I also think Sark is a better head coach than him. So when you look at these 2 teams, Texas and Penn State, clearly they're a better team. So if you go to Austin and beat them, that clearly is a better win than them going to an overrated Penn State and beating them. Because, let's look at Texas. Let's look at Texas' schedule. Texas, they beat Vanderbilt, which was ranked. They beat Oklahoma. At the time, Oklahoma was ranked. Let's see. They beat Michigan. At the time, Michigan was ranked number 10. So clearly, that is more ranked teams than you got Penn State, which Penn State pretty much hadn't played nobody all year. When you look back at Penn State, they played Ohio State and Illinois. They ain't played a top 10 team all season besides Ohio State, which they lost when they scored 13 points. So Georgia clearly losing at Alabama at the beginning of the season, which was like the second game of the year, They lost by 6, well, by 7. It was the 3rd game of the year. Let's see. They went to Texas. They beat Texas 30-15. So you telling me a team going to Texas winning 30-15 is better than a team, is not better than a team going to Penn State winning 20-13. Make it make sense to me. Now, Georgia is traveling to Ole Miss this week. Georgia can solidify themselves as the number 2 team this week. If they can go into Ole Miss and they can beat Ole Miss, they're clearly the number 2 team. Now, if they goes into Ole Miss and they beat Ole Miss, and then next week they bring Tennessee into Athens, and they can beat Tennessee, I'm going and I'm saying that this team right here might be the best team in all of college football, the Georgia Bulldogs. So Georgia got a chance to pretty much shut up all these committees these next 2 weeks. They can pretty much shut them up, and they ain't got nothing else to say. They gonna do what they always do. Try to put Ohio State up there at number 1 and number 2, because that's what they always do. It ain't nothing new. But if Georgia can win these next 2 weeks, they're gonna solidify themselves as most likely the best team. If not the best, they're at least minimum 1A, 1B with them in Oregon. Minimum. All right, but I don't have enough problem. Like I said, and I think Miami got some quality wins. Cam Ward, Heisman front runner. Cam Ward, that's what y'all need to say when y'all talk about it. Heisman front runner, Cam Ward. All right, and it don't matter how much Travis Hunter cry and whine and moan, whatever he's doing, going on every show, crying. All you got to do is go out there and do what Cam Ward is doing, and that's putting up results. That's it. Your team is undefeated. Okay? And a lot of people don't, hey, that Louisville, they beat Louisville at Louisville. Big win now. Okay? And like I said, they hadn't really played nobody either. Okay? They really hadn't played a lot of good teams. Florida State, Duke is a good team. But they played Georgia Tech this week, Wake Forest, Syracuse. So they'll finish undefeated. Man, that Syracuse game could be tricky. That Georgia Tech game could be tricky. But they're going to finish undefeated. But I'm not going to take it away from them. Because at the end of the day, y'all ain't taking it away from Colorado. Colorado still ain't played no damn body. So if you ain't going to hold it against them, don't try to hold it against Miami. Clearly, Miami is a top 5 team. That's why they're in the top 5. But hey, y'all, let me know what y'all think about these rankings. Let me know what y'all think about this podcast segment. And hey, until next time, make sure y'all tune back in, because I will be talking about LSU, Alabama traveling to LSU. It's going to be a crazy game, y'all. Make sure y'all tune in for that episode. Until next time, y'all have a great, great, great day, y'all. Peace.